nasally, whiny, slurry voice?
When I was in high school, my high school job was being a DJ at a country western radio station, and the actual everything was automated or recorded,
Uh-huh.
so I didn't get to say anything.
Ah. But you worked on your radio voice.
I did, and after a while, I realized that I could occasionally lose the sign off, and then say the sign off because you have to sign off, and I think I still remember it. And so, ladies and gentlemen, radio station KSOX comes the end of our broadcast day. Since 6 a.m., radio station KSOX is broadcast on their assigned frequency of 1,240 kilocycles with a daytime power of 1,000 watts and a nighttime power of 250 watts as authorized by the Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C. Radio station KSOX is owned and operated by Edgar L. Clinton, and now this is Mikel Weisser speaking on behalf of the staff and management of KSOX, wishing you a pleasant good night.
Damn, man, what the fuck do you have in your head? Last time you were like in a diabetic coma and you're reciting
I was fucking falling over and
your
shit.
poetry. I mean, fuck. Or you did the history lesson.
I did the history lesson, yeah.
But man,
and I did a song and did a poem. And
should we say that we are not associated with that radio station, so they don't get us? But yeah, man, that's crazy how much stuff you have in there. I don't remember people's names like a lot of times.
Right.
I can't believe how much shit you have going on. April, will you pass that bag over here? So we are toking today. I'm going to reload this one before we get too far into it. But I am Chad O. This is Mikel Weisser, and we are live on Facebook right now on our Toking Today page. But catch us on the website at tokingtoday.com. And this broadcast is brought to you live, courtesy of Normal, Arizona, and Herbal Risings Cannabis College. So welcome, Mikel Weisser.
did you say that you now have a new sponsor for our show?
Well, this one is
Or
not
this
actually
show, not our show, it's
not
your
this show, but actually, Toking Today is sponsored by a new bubbler for our volcano vaporizer. I don't want to give away too much because I want to kind of display. I want to do the unboxing of the sponsorship. But yes, we do have somebody giving us some products to share on air from Toking Today. So they saw us, they liked our interviews,
Right.
and they want us to get medicated with their products.
Oh, I like getting medicated with this volcano. I understand why you say that it helps with the smell.
Yes.
But it also, you do a couple of those bags, you really feel it.
It's a totally different
You
medication.
take a picture of me doing stuff.
Yes, I'll take a picture of you doing stuff. This is Michael doing stuff.
Hi.
Hold on.
I am. It's true.
Let's get Terrence in there. Michael Weisser doing stuff. This is him live doing stuff. There we go. Yeah, I know. I get the weird angles.
It's Stanley Kubrick here behind the cell phone.
We don't have the down the hall shots. So I have to improvise.
Thank you.
So yeah, so the actual thing that they're sending us is is like a bubbler. So what it does is it you know how this is already vaporized. It humidifies the vapors even more, so that when you inhale it, it's even that much more smooth. Toke. So what I was gonna say is when we do vaporize this, we're vaporizing at 425 degrees. When you light a lighter, that's 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a total different combustion. So we're trying to get the cannabinoids in their purest form with the volcano, whereas with the lighter, you're turning them into other chemical actions. Yeah. So it's a totally different feel.
Yeah, when you vaporize plant material with flame, you're getting all that plant material into your lungs. Here, don't you have like a big old bucket of no longer usable marijuana?
I do. It is right here. And this is the second one. The first one that you saw has been filled up. So this is since then.
Rock on.
Yeah.
Hey, is it true that is Terrence on your microphone?
This is Terrence with the T.
Okay. Yes.
I need Philip for you with the P.
And are we really close to Queen Creek, or are we pretty much Mesa?
We are, well, I don't know. Queen Creek is about down the road, but we are in Mesa.
Okay. So I'm going ahead and referencing Terrence in my social media. If you used social media, folks, then you'll be able to follow all this action on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Because remember, number one rule, 21st century politics, the tree falls in the forest, and no one tweets an Instagram to their Facebook. Who cares? Did it even happen? How do I know? I did not see it in my social media.
No. So now it has
So
happened.
this is going to happen. Yeah.
It is happening right now. And there are people tuning in to see us live. Welcome to the people who have tuned in to see us.
Hi.
And thank you for sharing it, Michael, and everybody else who's sharing it. We are going to get into some cool topics today. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. You just got back from MJ BizCon.
I did. I was up there, Las Vegas, 35,000 people. It was crazy.
That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike, pull your mic, not like this way. Like,
Oh, more like that?
yeah, grab the bottom of it and tilt it towards you. So you say this piece right here,
Mm-hmm.
and tilt it towards you. The other way. There we go.
Okay.
Now I hear your voice.
Oh, well, that should be even better.
Yeah. There we go. So we are teaching Mike how to use a mic.
Right. I'm finally mic'd.
Finally, Michael is mic'd.
Finally in both ways, because he has done it in the most proper way. So
the most
it's
proper.
finally done, and it's finally done.
And now your good voice sounds even that much better.
Right. Thank you.
Yep. I'm going to try to get voice lessons so I don't say a lot and other things. I want to work on this.
Are you like Chatto as an asterisk or a hashtag? Either one.
I think I'm just a person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we should be a Chatto hashtag.
At least that. I'm going to start hashtagging you, man.
Yeah.
Capital O.
Yeah, capital O.
Capital O.
One word.
Okay.
That is the hashtag.
So, yep, I've been to that. Really, since we were last here talking, I had just come back from Tucson's plant medicine conference. I had 2 days of downtime, went off to the MJ BizCon, and then a couple of days at home, and I'm back.
So let's talk
Go team.
about how Michael Weisser goes to MJ BizCon. Because last time we talked, you did not have a ticket. You did not have a place to stay, but you were going to be at the event.
Yeah.
And that was going to happen by sheer will and dedication, and that did happen.
It in fact did.
Okay.
So I applied for a press pass.
All right.
I've been a writer for 30 years. I have 1,000 publications and about 300 dealing with marijuana in some way.
Uh-huh.
So yep, they said come on in. I reported for Arizona Cannabis News, basically doing social media and connecting with the people that they were interested in.
Did Arizona Campus News know you were going to be there, or did you just go there and say, hey, I'm with them?
No, they knew.
All right.
For those of you following along at home, I am the recent former editor and chief staff writer for Arizona Cannabis News and have left that to work full-time on the legalization campaign. Go team.
You didn't say former when you applied to get in, though.
No, but I still do editing for
Yeah.
them. They still send me stuff, and I still end up editing.
So you got the press pass?
I did.
You got the press pass. You're in. Now, where do you sleep? Where do you put your clothes?
Oh, my
Where are you
God. It was
hanging
so
out?
weird. I didn't have anything planned when I left, and it was kind of tough. I actually wanted to be there around noon and got there around 5:30, so missed all sorts of shit. But I helped a guy from LA Normal find their Airbnb. He said, look, there's 4 of us. There's places for the 4 of us to sleep on beds. You could stay on the couch. And I said, well, I'm going back home tonight, but yes, tomorrow night would be great. And next morning I get a text. They weren't really comfortable with me. Ooh. And so I get up there and thinking, something's going to happen.
Right.
I
So
know
nothing's
something's
happened
gonna
yet.
happen.
All right.
And I say, I work out with Mita, so I can sleep in one of their rooms on the floor or something, curled up on a chair. It gives me a place to be. And my wife is like,
A roof.
fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got $70. Go get a hotel.
Okay.
Okay. So I had a hotel that night. And the next night I was going to stay with one of my writer friends who was coming in from Colorado, but he missed his plane. So I just bought another hotel.
So
Yeah,
now
it's
you're
like,
$140 into the trip.
I know. Then the third day, I show up, I walk in first thing in the morning, and Dimitri Downing, the head of Mita, goes, hey, you want a room tonight? And offers me a ticket or room.
So he just had a room, huh?
Well, one of the people that had gone up with them was Don, so they
so
didn't
he
need their room.
Took over.
Took
Nice.
over that room, yeah.
Right on.
And then yeah, that was kind of entertaining. I think that the most exciting thing that I did, and the parties were kind of good, but they were so damn crowded. It was hard to really appreciate it. And the High Times party was at a dispensary on their property, and the only marijuana you could smoke was stuff you bought from their dispensary.
Oh, really?
So, excuse my language,
that's the
but
High
the
Times.
fucking High Times cup,
the party.
Cannabis cup was hijacked by this one dispensary.
Wow.
So
what dispensary was it?
Nuvu.
Huh. I haven't checked them out. That's interesting. Was it a big place?
Oh, it is. It is. It's a very gorgeous place, and they have a tasting room. But it's part of the problem with Nevada laws when it comes to consumption events.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, we may not have legalization, but we do have, regulated and licensed consumption events.
Okay.
So where you can have 5,000 people all token up at the same time in a hall or in an open air pavilion kind of thing.
As long as they have their card.
As long as they have their card. In Nevada, we don't enjoy those privileges up until the time of, say, Jeff Sessions.
Uh-huh.
Cannabis cups were a lot more liberal in Las Vegas.
Interesting.
And, you could get some weed, like people give you some weed, and you could definitely smoke weed. I saw Cottonmouth King at a cannabis cup in Vegas. And they were just handing their half-smoked joints down into the
crowd?
audience.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Start them off and then pass them down?
Right.
That's pretty cool. But not anymore, huh?
But not anymore.
Yeah.
That cannabis cup that they had in March of 17 in Mawapa Valley, which is a place north of Vegas, there was supposed to be shut down, and there was, visible law enforcement presence. But nowadays they've gotten, conditioned or, into the habit of preventing actual THC cannabis from being consumed at cannabis events.
So
ironically, you can have CBD cannabis.
Well, that's crazy.
I know,
you can have CBD hemp, but not actual marijuana. That's crazy. But so legal Arizona or legal Nevada consumption event is not going to have smokable marijuana unless you have a receipt for what you're smoking personally.
Well,
from the dispensary that you're at.
Yeah, it's something along. So, like I say, the dispensary Nuvu has a tasting room.
Okay, so it has to be purchased though. You can't bring it in and taste it. So that's how they're doing the loophole.
Right.
That's where we're going with it. Okay.
Okay.
So the loophole is Nuvu has a tasting room. So the High Times Cannabis Cup is held there. There's not a consumption event, but if you buy the marijuana there, you can bring it in and taste it in the room. So that's how you consume at the party.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, somebody had CBD cannabis, hemp, and was using it to demonstrate a grinder. And I said, well, let me try rolling it up then. See how it rolls. And I pull out paper and I start with the rolling. And security comes over and like, what are you doing there? And the sales lady who was trying to sell me the grinders, he's just trying it out. Don't worry.
Wow.
Right.
So you can't even roll up the hemp. You have to stay in the loose part.
Right.
Because it might be mistaken for marijuana.
So yeah,
but that's interesting.
That wasn't so cool. Though I will say at the actual convention itself, the MJ BizCon, there was essentially 2 smoking areas outside the front door and outside the side door. I don't know if you've ever been to a concert where, there's 20 people outside smoking, in a bar or whatever. So at this convention, it was more like 400
at the entrance,
at the
exit,
at the side door, The one part they used up the entire north convention exposition hall, which is a lot of space. Give them credit.
Yeah.
But, at one point in the length of the hall, there's it's on the ground, and so the whole outside is exposed with glass windows and doors you can go in and out. And all of that area, people were smoking up.
The whole outside.
Right, and then all across the front, people were smoking up. Though I was a little bit more conscious because No, it's the whole world.
Colorado has these consumption bars and recreational locations. Do you think
Right.
Nevada's going to go that way, or do you think that MJ BizCon is going to go to like Colorado and they're start doing more parties that way?
It's interesting you should ask, because in this last legislative session, and tip of the hat to Las Vegas and Nevada Normal, who passed 5 bills improving marijuana in Nevada. One of the ones that didn't succeed was to allow consumption lounges, social clubs.
Huh.
And after it had passed through and was ready to go to the governor himself not only was ready to veto it, he created opposing legislation that now makes it even more difficult to create a consumption lounge.
Wow. So instead of letting it go through, they made sure that it never was going to happen.
As best as he can. Yeah,
Wow.
It's kind of a disappointing turn.
Yeah, especially for Nevada, because that's where you would expect it to be, where you can actually get together.
Right. Well, and consider for native Nevadans, they can go home or they can go to a friend's house or something like that. But for all the touristas that come in from all over the world, the guy from New Zealand, where is he going to smoke?
Exactly. And the hotels say no, absolutely no cannabis consumption. They're very strict on all MGM properties say absolutely no cannabis.
I know that I did not smoke inside my hotel rooms because it's become like, don't do it.
I hear that, and Vegas is like the only place that it's like the most strict on don't do it now.
I know.
That's the most upsetting, because it used to be the best place to go smoke weed. You put the towel down, nobody bother you. You know.
Right. And you'd be in a room that already reeked of 10 years of nicotine.
And
so
now that it's legal, it's less likely for you to smoke anywhere in Vegas. So that's absolutely crazy.
Irony,
yeah.
Great irony, yes.
Yeah, you can buy it, just don't smoke it. But eat the fuck out of it, man. Edibles, right. I did this Haze of Maine 500 milligram candy bar the other day.
Whoa.
This thing was pretty good. I cut it out.
500? Okay.
Throughout the day, I did it in April.
Over the course of the day.
Yeah. April did 100 milligrams of it, and I did 400 of it. But it was a pretty good little candy bar.
When I first came on to edibles, I believed I wanted 100 milligrams, and so I did a lot of stuff that was 100 milligrams. Nowadays, I've discovered that 30 to 50 is
decent.
Still very exciting.
Yeah. I went to court this morning. I took 8.5 a bag of 100 milligrams. So I did about 50 milligrams.
Was this for that photography session?
No.
With you?
That one I'm going to go ahead and do the class online for, because that one's guilty as fuck. But the cop pulling me over one, I think I'm going to see if he'll show up to court, and we'll have our day. But I still have another photography one coming in somewhere in the mail. I'm waiting for it. I did the photo shoot. Yeah. So hopefully that comes in after Christmas. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go to talk about Christmas and Winter Wonderland. I'm getting ready to go to Eastern Arizona starting later this week. I'm going to be doing a series of forays all up and down the eastern side of the state. This Thursday or Friday, I'm spending 2 days in Yuma.
Ooh.
So the opposite direction.
Yeah. So almost Mexico instead of almost Vegas, huh?
Right. Yeah, you
have to go through Border Patrol?
I do.
Ooh.
I do, and I've gotten into a mental discipline of just taking what I'm going to consume while I'm gone.
Yeah.
Plus one.
So
I can get back.
Yeah, no, don't want to buy anything down there. I bet the weed in Yuma is pretty expensive, huh?
I actually have bought stuff at Jamestown Dispensary, tip of the hat to Susan Wong, and that whole enterprise. No, it was about the same as Phoenix area.
I figured they get a little bit
more. But I bought edibles. I think that their flower prices got as low as some of the low dollar ones. And when you get to the high dollar flower, it's all about the same range.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. At least they're not gouging you south of the Border Patrol or anything.
Right. Yeah.
That would be the place to do it.
Right. You got to be really cautious about traveling. But remember, if you do it right, there's only one question in the whole experience. Are you a U.S. citizen? Yes.
So why do you? I don't answer questions. Is that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah. See, that'll make it a lot easier for you, my friend.
You just say yes and go on, huh?
Yeah. Now, I grew up south of the Border Patrol checkpoint in Raymondville, Texas.
Right.
And seriously, I've seen people with their cars torn
I
apart,
bet.
standing on the side of the road, and kids crying and shit. Border Patrol has constantly been like a boogeyman for me. And then in 2014, I did have to discuss marijuana coming out of Yuma
Yeah.
with the Border Patrol.
Wow. Yeah, that's a scary situation because they're federal. They don't give a fuck about the state.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Luckily, I mean, I know that this doesn't work for everybody, and I'm super glad that I've had this luck. But talking to law enforcement can make a huge difference in how things go.
yeah, being respectful. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's why I am going to court because I wasn't disrespectful on the pullover. I just took the thing, but
Right.
I'll have my day in court, I think, and just deal with it then.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, is there marijuana in the car, sir? We're going to have to pull you over to secondary. Yes, there is marijuana in the car. It's stored in my suitcase in the back, so I was traveling compliantly. Here's my medical marijuana card.
Go on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. when they don't want to deal with that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But at least they didn't say how much do you have or what do you look. How much are you carrying? What is personal consumption? Yeah.
So I would just to finish up with MJ BizCon.
Yeah.
Because of this change in Vegas.
Oh, speaking of, before we go into it, Greg said he dabbed away in his room in Vegas. So we should go to Greg's room.
Yeah, dabbing is supposed to be.
But man, some dabs get pretty stinky. It's supposed to be more like a fresh grow when you get into a room full of dabs.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
But anyways, MJ BizCon.
Oh, I was going to say that there was about, as I mentioned, 35,000 people expected to be in attendance. It looked like it.
Wow.
There were 1,300 vendors or people having displays. Back in the day when marijuana was less regulated than it is now, there was more actual weed that you could run into.
Right.
Nowadays, like this year, even fewer lighters, hats, and T-shirts.
It's just business cards and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still got, 20 lighters? I don't know, something
And
like that.
lanyards, huh?
All the lanyards you could want or
Man,
not want.
When I was in the mortgage industry, we used to go to these conventions, and they'd be like golf tees and notepads and ink pens. It's just lighters and pipes is all we get,
Well,
Yeah.
I'm in favor of people giving out lighters. The zombie apocalypse comes. You're going to be like,
Yeah.
Right?
This ain't going to work for me.
right.
Have to sit there on my bike generator to get my vaporizer going.
Right. Damn. The vape has lost its charge again. We just need to wait for the clouds to clear.
Yeah. I'll just be pedaling away. I'll be fit as fuck, not going anywhere. Just keeping my vaporizer going. Just keep on this energy. All those Teslas would be broken down the side of the road. That would be fun. That's what a futuristic movie should be. It's a bunch of Teslas about 300 miles outside the city. Because that's about as far as they're going to go on the charge. We both coughed in the mic at the same time. Thank you all of our viewers who stayed on after that.
We love you guys. I will give some of this congestion credit to the wonderful volcano.
Well, but it's supposed to be decongestion. Let's don't give the volcano the congestion credit. No, I think all this desert air and the coldness, man. Cold this morning as fuck.
Right.
Are you getting snow up there?
We did have a day of snow, but not enough to even accumulate.
Did you drive through any on the way to Vegas?
No.
No, it's pretty clear that
Actually,
way.
that's not the problem in driving in snow in Arizona is when you have to go through Flagstaff.
Yeah, that's where it's all at.
Yeah, I think I told you last time that I'd gone to do something in Sedona and had to drive through a blizzard in Flagstaff. Not fun.
Yeah. Were you driving this car you have now, or was it the red
Yeah,
truck? This
yeah.
car? Yeah.
This is a great car
A little
for
bit better.
what I'm doing.
Yeah. You when you're out there in the west, you get a lot of clear skies up there where you're at in
So high.
yeah. But
That's really true. We get very little cloud cover. It's enough to where, in winter, when the skies are gray and there's more clouds, that some people get what they call SAD, seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah, I get that anyways, but it's literally all year round.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
so you're just sad.
Yeah, just sad. Just all year round. With the clouds up, you got pretty good. You got a lot of stars out there where you're at. There's not a lot of light pollution, huh?
Right. We are, in fact, on our home, that is on the western side of the Surbat Mountains. And the Surbats, Kingman is on the eastern side. So we don't even get Kingman light
wow.
in our skies. I've got sets of stars that I look at, when I'm home. Oh, there you are. You're still there. There's that one.
So Sedona.
I don't know the names.
Southeast of you, right? Or
essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
About 150 miles east, about 50 miles south.
So you're way more west on that side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Golden Valley is 12 miles to the Colorado River.
Okay, so you're right there by California then.
Yeah, we're in Laughlin, is the Nevada side. Bullhead City's the Arizona side. There's these Black Mountains, Golden Valley, and then Sohai is up on the foothills of the
That's interesting.
Surbat.
So there's a lot of UFO activity going on in Sedona. A lot of Area 51. Do you get any of that stuff in the skies where you're at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get black helicopters. There's a part of Golden Valley that is rumored to be a undercover military installation, and if you look on the Google Maps, it won't focus.
Ah, it's all blurred out, huh?
It's blurred out on purpose, yeah.
Ah.
So we definitely hear the black helicopters flying over at night.
So you probably have
without
Area
lights
50.
on.
You might have the precursor.
Could be 43.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Getting ready.
That's crazy. I always see these missile silos show up for sale out there in the middle of nowhere, out there in Arizona desert.
Yeah.
You know that.
I have a friend who at one point bought a piece of property in Dolan Springs because it had a fallout shelter in it.
Oh wow! Just
yeah,
in the middle of nowhere.
Essentially in the middle of nowhere. This city, I'm being generous when I say city. This place, Dolan Springs, about 2,000-3,000 people in population, is got one main road and then a patchwork of dirt roads. Some of them are passable.
Yeah.
And he wasn't on the main road, but so he got this place with the fallout shelter, and that's where he grew his Bubba Kush.
Oh, nice. Up, down underground, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's why I always thought about those missile silos would be cool because they have a lot of different rooms and compartments and whatnot. Plus, pollen's not going to travel down; it travels up. So that's a good way to keep the seeds out of your plants.
I'll keep that in mind. Yeah.
So
that's like after the zombie apocalypse, those nuclear silos will be empty because everything will be shot off, right?
You just got to grow. You just got to keep the pedaling to keep the lights going for the grow, But yeah. Now I'm curious about. I don't think do we have missile silos that are active still? Do they actually have underground missiles still?
I believe there's like over 1,000
ICBM still in these mountains.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy. I was not aware that they actually still had those. I thought there was other methods. There's still big ass missiles just waiting to go all the time, huh?
Oh yeah. In fact, those of you who are watching at home, besides checking that text, I am looking to see what. How many missiles there are?
Wow, I was not aware. I thought they did something else now that we had since we had like radars and satellites and shit like that. We don't really use ICBMs because we see like the fucking SpaceX go out and whatnot. I thought they'd see them coming.
Currently, there are 1,054 detonatable devices. Down from 31,255 in 1967.
So what's the safer number? Is it better to have more to keep America safe, or is it better to have less?
Well, it depends on if you're the kid wanting to go to college or the guy who owns the munitions factory. I think so. What I know, and I've been out of teaching about a decade, just to be sure. But the number that I had to work with last decade is that at that point, we had enough nuclear weapons to kill everybody on the planet like 13 times.
Yeah.
So I think above once is sufficient.
So less is better.
Yeah. Not dying is probably preferable.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have, enough nuclear weapons to kill everybody on the planet, you really only need like 1 or 2 times, not 13, 14.
Interesting. How many times do you think that's actually happened in the planet's history?
Oh, you mean if we go back to like before what we know of today and all that stuff? I think that society has probably collapsed like, oh, you mean like full on collapse?
Yeah.
2 or 3 times is my guess. In the past, we know of the Minoan artifacts and subaquatic castles and towers that they built. The castle with 1,000 rooms and stuff.
That's all underwater.
Right. Because
Because the Earth has shifted since then.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's how long it's been.
Yeah, I just to say, our current political situation has me worried about global collapse. And so, yeah, it's interesting to think that we may have had advanced societies in the past that just fucked shit up so bad that everything was lost and we had to start again at zero.
Yeah.
They say that the Emperor Qin, who China is named after, when he took power, he had every book and historical record in China destroyed.
Right.
So history started with him.
Yeah.
So we don't even know what happened before that.
Yeah, because that's where the history was from the beginning. So, or the oldest that we knew of. So to destroy all that is, it's crazy. And nothing exists. We don't know. And we don't know beyond our grandparents. And that's hard to even know what our grandparents know.
Well, yeah, I think that I consider this often because, I'm a writer and want to create historical records of stuff. And back in the day, it was pretty common for families to pass down generations of lore. And your great-grandfather used to chop trees with Daniel Boone. You hear shit like that.
Yeah.
And nowadays, people don't even remember what they did last century.
Yeah, There's nothing. And the crazy thing is that we have a shorter attention span because we know what we did last week. We know what you had for dinner yesterday. I remember where you went for vacation. I was checked out your MJ BizCon pictures.
Right.
I know exactly what happened within Facebook's time frame.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened, beyond that.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That gets back to that number one law of 21st century politics.
Right.
I really feel that our mental functions are shifting, and they are dictated or programmed by the social media we receive.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to like 5,000 years ago. It was just, we were scrambling around to see if we could get enough flax to make some cloth and hoping that one girl didn't find enough flax to make, that was it. And then we had a period of written things. And once writing started, it said that in ancient Greece, they thought of that as a collapse of society because now people wouldn't keep things in their mind anymore.
Wow, that would actually be put out to the nation or whatever.
Right, and then as we get to the printing press in the 1600s, so super rapid expansion of availability of writing.
Yeah.
But it also kind of
limits your own thoughts.
Yeah, and it devalues writing. Prior to that, and I'm not calling for the way things were in.
Well, that's
prior
interesting
to this,
because everything you read is influencing your thoughts.
Yeah,
everything you think is your own thoughts. So if you had your own knowledge passed down from your grandfather, whatever you take it, and it's your own thought, your own belief now. But when you read something else, it's somebody else's beliefs.
Yeah,
and it becomes more of a cult following. A mass belief, and not your own belief,
And so one of the things that I'm headed for, my thesis in these examples, is that as society has continued to evolve and the media has continued to change, we have moved our language skills from focusing on ornate and complex and multi-meaning statements to concision and
sentences.
Yeah. So instead of paragraphs, sentences. Instead of sentences, words.
Emojis.
Right?
Yeah,
emojis. If you looked at language from, like, say, the 1700s, and there's probably about 10,000 people on the planet who still even give a fuck about that.
Right.
you would see these very elaborate essays with sentences, 3,
Right.
4 lines long, you know,
Lots of commas and
lots of commas.
they use things that we don't use anymore. What are those semicolons?
Right.
You know,
All
yeah.
that stuff, right.
Colons. Yeah. What the fuck are those even used for nowadays? Yeah.
And then you move forward to Mark Twain, who is beginning to be more concise, but he's still pretty ornate. Or say Charles Dickens from the 1800s, who is, you know, one of the highest regarded writers of prose, you know.
Yeah.
But his sentences are still 5, 6 lines long. Right. Today, I'm told, you know, if you're writing for the web, your paragraph should be 2 to 4 lines long.
Well, you can't go more than 160 characters on a tweet. So
right.
You're automatically going to be talking shorter immediately.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny because people who want to could look up article I wrote about Twitter in, I think it's 2011 or 2010, where I'm dogging Twitter about how it's going to affect the way that people think. And now, got something like 19,000 tweets myself. Yeah.
Yeah. But does it affect the way you think?
It does. It's changed my way of expressing just immensely. This doesn't tell me how many tweets I've made, but there are thousands.
Yeah.
And
but yeah, that's not every thought you've ever had.
No.
You know, and you know, you still have a separate. Now you have a separate biological memory, and then you have a separate digital
mechanical memory. Yeah. In the 90s, I had a poem that concludes with the lines, "At least I'll reside in the pieces I've made."
Yeah.
With the thought that as an artist, craftsman, and my products should outlive me.
Well,
but yeah, nowadays, at least I'll reside in my social media.
I got a drawer full of hard drives over there, and it's got like scripts on there on some of them, and other things got like graphics that we use for businesses and business plans and different things. And you know, I have phones that I've that I've kept on because there's pictures in there that I thought I needed, etc.
Yeah,
the memories are there,
right?
But the digital is somewhere else.
Exactly.
So
well, and that's what I've had to reconcile myself with as an artist, as a writer. Is you're not known for the 500,000 words that you wrote. You're known for like 1 or 2 novels,
right,
or a series of essays, or this one super good poem. I mean, shit. We study even college history, or college literature, and the history of literature, and they'll have a poet from sometime before your lifetime, so you didn't ever know him,
right?
And it's like this much of a biography and 1 poem, and that's the whole guy.
That's it.
That's all he gets.
Yeah. Now that he caught that trout, there's so much more to life than what we put out there and what's left, at the end too. It's interesting to think about, what really does go on past this, and what will people need to know, beyond this.
Well, as a visual artist, I have really embraced Instagram for a great way to express what I look for in visual beauty. And I have been real serious devotee of Photoshop for about a decade, and trying to turn a basic picture into something artsy fartsy.
Yeah.
And then thinking that matters, right?
Right.
So with Instagram, I can put it out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's instant. It's Instagram.
Right.
But as an artsy fartsy person, you probably have a lot of stuff that never got out there.
Oh yeah, I have boxes of like journals,
right,
and my graduate work in English was a 645-page project that I've yet to find a publisher for.
Do you think that if you had Twitter back then or something similar, that you would have a publisher now, or do you think that you would just be in a sea of other people with it all on Twitter the same way that they're all in shoeboxes?
No, I think that if I had had the social media savvy I have now, when I first started being a writer, as that's my life's goal, and professional self-promotional writer in the 90s, I think I would have more accomplished by now.
You think so?
Yeah, because as it was,
But you know,
I get something published, and how do I let people know?
right.
Right?
But
One at a time.
every other writer now would still have the same abilities, though. They'd still have the same access.
Yeah, but
So-
I'm really good.
But it's the same thing today.
I know. And there's a lot of people who are really good. That's true.
Can't you publish something now?
Uh,
Can't you put it out now?
I'm looking forward to finding out.
Well-
I really, like I said in our last interview, I got a little uncomfortable with the artsy fartsy crowd that
Well-
doesn't do actually things.
Where I'm going with
So,
this, though,
yeah.
is you have the work. It hasn't but put out there yet. Now you have the social media. You have the social savvy. You bring the 90s to now.
Oh, yeah.
What you can
I
you-
have 7 books I would love to publish. Well, you were trying to get those copyrights last time we were here.
Well, yeah. That's
Oh,
what.
okay, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is if we,
Dog laughed. With me.
if Kevin Smith published his one of his books one tweet at a time, and he put out there one tweet at a time, and then he published the book, and people still bought the book, even though they read it all one tweet at a time.
Well, that actually gets to an idea that my wife and I have been considering for a book, since you mentioned tweets. So when I started actually embracing Twitter after, like shunning it and boo, this is destroying the brain, then I started embracing it, and I came up with a hashtag series called 21 Cent Poly, which is my observations on politics in the 21st century, because I think that they're a little different from politics in the 1900s.
Yeah. And also, 21st Century Polly might be a multi-love type situation too.
Yeah, it could be.
So you can get into multiple.
Wow, I wonder if
bookshelves.
anybody has used it that way. That
I
would
bet
be
it's
funny.
a hashtag. I bet you might be able to find.
Oh,
Find it.
yeah. Not the same picture illustrations that I had used, I bet you.
Yeah. So, but you might get more views, more downloads.
Let's see. Like, you can't show anyone enough proof if they aren't willing to look. Doing what you want to do is better than making enough money to console yourself about having to do what you don't want to do.
Right. Okay.
See, these are just observations, but I've seen a lot of really unusual things as a politician. I'm not talking about, this terrible graft and corruption. And there's some of that, of course. But just interesting stories, things that attract a person. And so the idea was to collect. There's about 300 of these 21 Cent Polys by now.
Okay. These are all tweets you put out.
All tweets I put out, yeah. Coordinate them and then use them as topics for sections in a book.
Yeah, or just put them out as a like a book
on
itself.
Yeah.
Like the You Might Be a Redneck books by Jeff Foxworthy, 21 Poly by Mikel Weisser.
It could be. Here's a point that I really I've been trying to make to people, because we're talking about books and stories and that sort of thing.
We are.
Life is a narrative. Your lives are a narrative. It's been written by the American media for at least 200 years. It's forever the same story. Democrats weak, GOP strong, retold continuously, stakes getting higher and characters turning arch. Keep our attention, though. Now, drama's life or death.
I like it.
See? It's like a little haiku, except actually you get 280 characters. They double the characters.
Oh,
on
really? So
Twitter.
they've actually doubled that.
Yeah. For blowhards like me.
Wow. So that's a whole tweet now, huh?
Mm-hmm. Right. So, yeah, that.
So do you think in tweets now? Do you fit it all in the?
I do. It's caused me to be a lot more flexible about spelling.
Yeah.
Like the number 2,
Yeah.
the number 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that way. We send out our text messages for our stores, and I try to keep it all in one text, and trying to fit into 160 characters, and you have to also fit the into quit or whatever the unsubscribe information.
I will acknowledge that as the culture wars heat up, my tweets have gotten less all elaborate and carefully crafted explanations of stuff, and now it's more like, fuck you, you traitor.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to throw your impeachment 2 cents in, Democrat Michael Weiser?
Not really. I think that
Let it be. Let it.
yeah,
Unfold.
I think that anybody who is looking at it can see what's going on, and then it's a matter of if they're okay with that or not.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I'm focusing so sincerely on cannabis reform at this time is because I feel like our country's in a terrible crisis, and I am ineffective to really make a difference at that, though I can make a difference with this, and that'll make a change in the long run. I am certainly, I'm going to use the word praying, that the people who are in power on both sides will bring this thing to a resolve that doesn't involve a shooting civil war, but I'm not convinced.
No, so you think it might end in Trump's versus not?
Oh yeah. I have actually, if you look up my writing on op-ed news from last decade, you'll see that had been one of my topics of concern, that the right wing have been ramping themselves up for
A war?
for a long time. And then, as a writer, I'm aware of Chekhov's statement about creating dramas.
Right.
You don't put a gun on stage in Act 1 if you don't intend to shoot it by Act 3.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
All right.
Yeah, that's a pretty good precursor to what's to come, huh?
Well, I hope not. I mean, I
Just if history has taught us
I
anything.
fear that,
Yeah.
but I hope that, I've been wrong about a lot of stuff in my life.
Sure.
I'd love to be wrong about that,
Yeah.
just to say. And also, it would be even better if the people who want peace, who want a future, who don't want to stay stuck in this, at least mental civil war, can
Right.
figure out how to overcome the factionalism. I'm not really confident that sort of thing is in the works, but I'd rather work for that than work for trying to be the meanest and the baddest, because I'm not going to be successful with that.
Well, yeah. I don't want to be the last man standing. I won't be.
Yeah.
But definitely, I don't
I'll
wanna
be
see it
the
come
one
to that.
hiding behind
Yeah.
the wall. My wife and I, so in 2009, there was a documentary by a former LA cop named Michael Rupert. The name of the documentary was Collapse.
Okay.
And it was about, the central premise was peak oil, which was the theory that at some point we're going to run out of oil, and if it happens abruptly, society would collapse.
Sure.
So he didn't use the word zombie apocalypse. I've sort of embraced that. But that's really what I mean when I say zombie apocalypse. I don't mean, science fiction, flesh-eating creatures. I mean,
For people looking for food and
yeah. Every man for himself, anarchy.
Yeah.
And we live 65 miles south of the Hoover Dam on the main highway
Right.
from Vegas to Kingman. So after the people in Vegas had finished with each other, they would come.
Yeah.
They're gonna and you can see our house.
Yeah.
So there was no way to create a defensible space. So I jokingly said, "Well, we got to start saving the world then."
Yeah. So does that come to that?
Right? Because I can't.
You can't run away. Yes, I was going.
I know I've coughed a little bit, but I'm gonna pop that up again. That's so much fun.
April, you want that?
Yeah. So we've been working day and night to save the world from itself and from that motherfucking bullshit.
Well, speaking of working day and night, you said you've collected over 100,000 signatures, or not you personally, but the
Right.
initiative?
The campaign is
The safe and smart.
Smart and Safe.
Smart and safe.
Arizona initiative is expecting to cross 100,000 signature threshold this month, in the month of December, that is.
Wow. So by the end of the
Yeah.
year, going to cross 100,000. What does that mean for the campaign, though?
Oh, it means that they are very much on pace for getting their signatures collected, verified, validated, and turned in by the end of June, which is when they're due.
Okay.
In fact, last election cycle, was it the campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol?
yes, sir.
Turned in their signatures about 3-4 weeks early. I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen here.
So you're looking at an early finish of 170,000.
237 is what they're.
237,000.
Yeah, that's the required number. I think they're probably going to collect closer to about 400,000
Wow.
and turn in about 300 and something thousand because they verify them.
yeah.
They do the checking.
If 400,000 people sign the initiative this time, or sign up for it to go on to the ballot this time,
Right.
what does that mean as far as a voter count? Like what kind of percentage do you think that equals out to as far as
Well,
yes votes?
I'm going to look at the 2016 election, which isn't the most recent election, but it's the most recent presidential election. A lot of people motivated. Weed was on the ballot. There were some key other ballot measures,
Right.
and we had about 2.4 million votes cast.
Okay.
That's in fact why we have this number now with the
Why have to collect-
237,000. Because it goes back to the last gubernatorial election.
So before it was a smaller turnout. We only had to collect 170.
Right,
So
right.
now we have to collect more because more people voted because it was a bigger election, more televised, more advertised
Right.
election.
Yeah.
So more people show up.
So yeah, this election, this is the fourth election cycle in a row that Arizona's tried to get something on the ballot in 2014 and 16. Safe Arizona took a lead on initiatives and couldn't get them across the finish line.
Right.
So Dave Wisniewski, the founder of Safe Arizona, I used to be his political director. He has got on board with Smart and Safe Arizona because it's really time to get past failing to legalize. I mean, once we have something started, then we can refine it.
Yep. Yeah. So everybody's getting on board that was against other anyway. Anyways, more people getting on board that were opposing before.
Right.
I'm trying
More
to say.
people on board than were opposing before. We are expecting a challenge from the Arizona Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, or let me say, I don't believe that they are going to flat out say that they want our initiative to fail, but they want a different business structure. We've discussed this before.
I don't know about the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. So, the Arizona Cannabis Chamber
Right.
of Commerce have been coming together for about 3 years. They're led by a guy named Mason Cave. Susan Wong, who is the leader of Women Grow, is a significant member. Dustin Klein from Sun Valley Certification Clinics. Melissa, I'm blanking on her last name, from Rebel Rock, is also on their board. And they were not happy with the business structure of the Smart and Safe Initiative.
Okay.
The business structure of the Smart and Safe Initiative is, in fact, just an expansion of the existing business structure for the medical market out to the adult use. So
Right.
if you already have a license, then you have another license to sell adult use. And then there's also 26 licenses that are called equity licenses, which will be for minorities or people from the marijuana world in the past who are trying to get in now. Folks who have been kept away from the industry.
Interesting.
So in that business structure, the people who are the big dogs now will be the big dogs then. The people who are the small dogs then will, so on.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks who wanted a better shake or a different shuffle have aligned themselves with the Arizona Cannabis Chamber of Commerce. Their program creates 125 licenses instead of 26.
Mm-hmm.
Specifies so many go to rural, so many are for cultivation, retail, and so on. Which, I mean,
Jesse fell over.
on the face of it, I like those ideas.
Here, I'm closer.
I can't stand that. She's lying over on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we
She's not so excited. There we go.
Okay. On the face of it, that sounds
She was so
okay. But I do believe that in the initiative that we already had going, the one that's collecting 100,000 signatures already, further, their proposal doesn't specify the taxes that would be collected or where they would go.
Huh.
So all that good work that we were going to do with the taking of the taxes, going in the highways, going in community colleges, that's out of the window.
Okay.
Also, they cut out the sections that we had on DUI protections, so that's out of the window. They cut out the social justice and expungement section, and really that's the backbone of what makes Smart and Safe Initiative timely. Like if you talk to other states around America, what's expected out of a legalization initiative, addressing the scandal of prohibition is expected.
Right.
People want to see some redress for 26 million arrests,
Yeah.
Right, 26 million since since 1970.
That's a lot of people with records that can't get federal jobs, can't get jobs
Right,
really,
right.
or vote or anything.
Yeah. So and since Nixon's time, drug laws have been explicitly used to target and diminish communities of color.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it's enslavement of the minorities to keep them down. That's the bottom line. And so before 1976, there weren't
1970. Well, there were drug laws against marijuana going back to 1937, but Nixon in 1970 created the Controlled Substances Act, and that's when we started having the Schedule 1 and so on.
So then we actually understand that, okay, this one is more illegal than this one.
Right.
And marijuana took the top of that.
Marijuana was put at the top along with things like heroin and later in,
now
I take that
heroin
back.
is a Schedule 3 now, right?
I don't
Something
know.
like that. I think
I'm going to say I don't know.
I think it's pretty low now. It's not one.
LSD was also a Schedule 1. And Nixon's chief of staff, John Ehrlichman, later admitted, and you could see this on video, that they knew that the black community was all up in the air over civil rights, and that the youth community was all up in the air over the Vietnam War. They couldn't make it illegal to protest for civil rights or protest against the Vietnam War. But if they could make the drugs that these people preferred demonized and then prosecute the drugs, they could get away literally with murder, and we've been under that siege of terror pretty much ever since then.
But it's really not these people. It's the people who are coping with depression, who are in lower income situations, who have been through wars, who have had to go fight for their rights, who have been oppressed, who need some sort of relief. And there's white people in there. There's all sorts of races in there.
It's very true.
It's an income status a lot of times, and they keep that separate.
Well, I think of drugs in general. Now, let me get away from. I apologize to our viewers at home for using that term in that way. Because drugs is everything from Anacin.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, yeah. You consume it and it alters your body. It's a drug.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but substances of abuse, let's say. And that's why I wanted to stop using drugs, because I immediately wanted to pull marijuana out and set that out of this little box that I put together. I think of them as cost-saving measures for people who can't afford to get away from the struggles in their life in a more legitimate way.
Yeah.
If you're a billionaire,
you got a yacht,
just
you're
right?
gone.
Yeah, and you're in.
You go running, go hiking, go to those things. You can't do that in an urban area. You can't.
Right.
You can't.
There's all the different things that you could do to try to get out of your head, or you can do what's $250. You can be gone for the night.
Yeah, exactly. You know, get a bottle of Mad Dog or whatever you gotta do. It's another drug, but a joint is a healthier alternative, and they see that.
Right.
And they know that that's a good way to catch them.
So for me, the obvious solution to that is to make opportunities for life better.
Yeah.
And then people won't want to end up doing things that end up ultimately destructive to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's ultimately get that expulgement, getting the legalization, getting stuff pushed forward. And they had a meeting in Congress about it like this week about legalizing cannabis and taking it off the Schedule 1. So that's what,
I can talk to that.
Because of people like you, because of those
Right.
activists doing these things.
It's definitely because of people like me, or at least, with NORML. National NORML helped create the MORE Act and the Safe Banking Act and have been working on it through Congress in all sorts of ways for several years now. Justin Streckel is our national political director. He does the same thing in D.C. that I try to do here at the state capitol, though I think he's probably more professional about it. Anyway, they did in September, the entire House of Representatives passed what's called the Safe Banking Act.
Right.
And that went over to the Senate. It does exactly what you would think it does, is it allows banks to bank cannabis businesses, which is fantastic because there's just like so much loss due to the fact that things have to operate in a cash basis.
Right. So do you think they're going to start taking credit cards because of that?
It may even get to that.
Okay.
However, wait, before I do the however, let me do the next sentence on this. So then last month in November, the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, which is a committee within the whole House, did a markup, which is a public review of a bill called the MORE Act, which is the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment Expungement Act.
Oh, okay.
It removes the Controlled Substances Act that I referred to that Richard Nixon had started.
Right.
It removes all federal penalties for marijuana possession.
Nice.
It expunges federal arrest records for marijuana possession, and reinvests into those very communities that were over policed.
Nice. Okay.
Right. So that, like I said, did get through the House of Representatives Judiciary Committee.
So everything
However,
we were just talking about, they could stop.
right. However,
Right.
yes, something else just got through the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, the impeachment thing. And you know
That's put a pause on everything else.
right,
So,
D.C. is paying.
Not gonna give a fuck about weed right now.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we don't know how that's going to end, and how that ends will affect how this is
goes.
served.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it changes ownership or leadership, it's going to be a totally different
Right.
outcome. Yeah.
If Republican Jeff Sessions had represented a rank and file congressional opinion that marijuana is devil's lettuce and we need to stomp it out, he ended up as the Attorney General during a time when the presidency and both houses of Congress were controlled by the Republicans, and he did his damnedest to try to make it illegal.
Right.
Now we have Democrats who have, by and large, taken lead on legalization throughout America,
Nice.
are at least in charge of the House of Representatives. So, yes, this could go dramatically either way. It's worth noting that Safe Banking Act, which was did all of its stuff in the House and then went over to the Senate and joined over 400 other bills that the House of Representatives has passed this year and sent to the Senate that the Senate has made no progress on.
Huh. So the same group has put together that act, has put 400 other bills that has got no traction.
No traction.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is part of the reason that when people complain about Trump and the impeachment and its corrosive effect, this is exactly it.
Yeah.
We're not having actual governance because on the one side, there's a group that has been, well, I'm not going to even value either one, but the two sides are now locked into their position. The one side saying he is not a crook and we'll die to defend him. The other side saying he is a crook and you're killing us by defending him.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're both stuck.
So do you see this as a distraction towards something bigger, or do you think this is the big?
Oh, well, I hope that this resolves within itself and within the next couple of months. That would sure be great. Distraction. I believe that government is, at least for the last 40, 50 years, has been set up specifically to not solve problems.
Right.
That they identify problems, they throw money in the direction of problems,
Right.
but God damn, we can't give them enough money to solve the problems because it's wasteful spending. And then so the problem doesn't get solved. It's sort of like pharmaceuticals, how they want to
Treat the symptoms.
but not the disease.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that government and Hollywood play a big part together in doing that and dissolving the issues. Like they'll put it together. There'll be an issue, and then Hollywood will make fun of the issue. Saturday Night Live will make fun of the issue. The issue will become so oversolved that it's everywhere that it has no value.
Yes.
And then it goes away.
Hey, April, there is a water bottle on the floor near your right
There-
foot.
there's
Is
one-
there any water in there?
There's one in the refrigerator that's cold right behind you. We'll put the camera on me. You can step away and grab the water that's right behind you.
I shall return
and
shortly.
You can come right back to that. So Michael's going to grab a water, and I'm going to entertain the masses. But doing these podcasts, we come across so many different guests and theories. I hope that everybody is chiming in and talking to us. So I haven't seen any big questions. So if anybody's out there has a theory or a question for our podcast, tune in, chime in, talk to us. I see you out there watching us. Talk to us. Michael is refilling his water bottle. We got guest dog Quincy in here who's wanting attention so bad. That's where our hands keep on going down here. Michael is peeing directly into the
Quincy
mic.
believes he is my brother.
Yeah, Michael and Quincy were best friends, so whenever Michael comes over, it kills him if he's not out. So they are out together.
5, 4, 3, 2, and we're back.
Michael is back. We are toking today. I should add you.
So yeah, I was talking about the federal scene and whether or not that's going to change or how it's going to change. The flip side is if we ended up with a democratically led Senate, let's look at that. Then on the issue of marijuana, we have Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris have all filed their own bills about marijuana reform.
Wow.
So, those are Democratic senators that people know. So I think that they would be taking a lead if they had a favorable Congress.
Do you think this has to do with marijuana being legal in Washington, D.C.? Do you think they're smelling it in the air? It's in the atmosphere. Their friends have it. It's at every political function they're going to now, most likely.
Marijuana. So I've been to D.C. each of the last 3 years, and marijuana in D.C. is a lot like Colorado, except there's no stores.
You just can't buy it anywhere?
Well, you have to have a medical card, and you have to go to a medical dispensary. They do have delivery.
Okay.
But no, the Congress was so offended that the city of D.C. approved legalization that they have blocked stores from opening since 2014. Yeah.
Okay, so I figured there had to be some kind of catch there that the nation's capital, the city passed medical marijuana, but the federally illegal.
Yeah.
So there had to be something.
You can call up a delivery service and say, "Hey, send me a bottle of that $40 tap water."
Oh.
And they'll bring you your $40 tap water in an eighth.
So a free eighth with a $40 purchase of water.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh my gosh! So you really have to loophole it, huh?
Yeah, But to talk about DC and marijuana, the local so NORML's national office is there, but the local activism, like in many big cities, is done by a local group that's separate called DC Marijuana Justice.
Okay.
DCMJ. They're led by a guy named Adam Ettinger, and they have really put the pressure on Congress in a very stony way. During the inauguration ceremony for Donald Trump, they gave out 1,400 joints to the crowd.
Nice.
On 420,
everybody smoked up?
Yeah, on 420, they were stationed across from the congressional building and gave free joints to every congressional staffer that crossed the street that would take one.
Did they take them?
Yeah, by the thousands.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Nice. So, that's definitely influencing the bills and the passing. It's got to be.
Right. And in D.C., Ettinger himself has been arrested repeatedly, but it's not like in Arizona where getting an arrest is like now you have a felony.
So in the nation's capital, when you get arrested for marijuana, you don't get a felony like here all the way
No.
over 30 states away?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right. So, I mean, that is one approach. Here in Arizona, you know, I can't give weed to the staffers at the state capitol, but I believe that the medical program and the medical miracles of cannabis really are swaying the public. It's like at one point when Jeff Sessions was calling marijuana the devil's lettuce, 94% of Americans believed in medical marijuana, which means only 6% believed in Jeff Sessions.
Well, yeah. So definitely good that dude's out.
Yeah. And he's gone,
Yeah,
notably.
he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's an interesting. I still can't believe that getting arrested in D.C. is not a felony for marijuana. That still blows my mind. I try to wrap my head around that right now. But there's so many felonies in Arizona. Oklahoma, people in life for a joint, and jail for life for a joint. But
well, been a tradition in government and law enforcement that punishfulness is just power, just use of power. And I've always thought that was wrong. I like to hope that we can convince the future that being meaner than the next guy is not necessarily the only way to win.
Yeah, that's definitely be nicer. Definitely give more love.
Right.
See where that gets us, because we know we're blowing each other up gets us.
Right. So all the people out there in rural Arizona land, you know that when it comes to the Smart and Safe campaign, I'm the rural field director. So it's my job to get out to rural parts of Arizona. I mentioned earlier that in the next couple of weeks, we're doing a real outreach to eastern Arizona, in particular the native lands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This week, I'm going to Payson, Show Low, Winslow, and Flagstaff.
Okay. So you already went to the native lands?
No,
You're coming up.
I'm developing that. I'm getting
okay. That's in development. But this week you're up north.
Yeah,
you're gonna be all
and that's all east. Yeah, it's all east.
Yeah, northeast. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Shortly in the new year, we have a plan to go to Safford. We have a plan to do a music show in the Navajo Indian Reservation.
Oh, really?
And trying to develop outreach to the San Carlos. I have somebody that says they're interested, so we'll see if anything can come out of that.
What kind of music show are they doing at the Navajo Nation?
Well, I have a band, which is called A Normal Band.
Okay. You
can find us on YouTube. Look for Mikel Weisser at Third Space.
At Third Space.
Yeah. That's there's a video of us doing 3 songs.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's mostly marijuana songs from the 60s and 70s or earlier, and then originals. A couple of Fight the Power songs like Holiday by Green Day, which I know that you're familiar with me doing that song.
We did a nice little music video for you.
I still watch that video sometimes.
Me too.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good one.
So that band...
I think we're the only ones going to get views, by the way. But yeah.
Right. We keep at it. In a million years, we'll have a million views. Go team.
Keep it up.
Right. Yeah.
But you're the music festival. Are you guys the only ones playing? No.
No. Like we have a show coming up here in Phoenix Metro, and I love Phoenix Metro, but by and large, Phoenix Metro already has the message vote. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing as much here, but we have a show coming up on January 3rd. That's the first Friday. This is at Dom Life. Feature band is going to be I Am Hologram, who some of you may know from the farmers market days and the early medical marijuana patient. If you ever were there at a farmers market and kind of heard the music in the background and felt like you were tripping, that was him. Yeah. Right. Song's gone on for 15 minutes and it's way far away from where it used to be, and you're like, oh damn,
this is the same song.
Right.
All right. So he's there.
Yeah. He's also recorded stuff, and he has a new album out. So
right on.
Yeah.
That's at Dome Life. What was
Dome
that?
Life. It's a 6 to 9, and it's January 3rd is the first Friday of the month.
Okay.
So we've done a show in rural Yavapai County. We've done a show in Kingman, and aiming to take this all over. I mean, that attracts the younger, or I don't want to just say the younger, but the more
The hip.
the pickup crowd,
Yeah.
the people like me who smoke marijuana or just a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be having public forums and those sorts of things also, but the people who want to go to a public forum may not want to go to a music thing.
Right.
But the people who want to go to the music thing really don't want to go to a public forum.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Some people will vote for it, but not smoke it.
Right.
Yeah.
That is in fact who I'm looking for.
Right.
As there's a lot of people who, they say that half of America's tried marijuana.
Yeah.
And so that means that there were people who tried it and voted no.
Yep.
And I figure that they probably had a bad experience. When you're
Didn't like their dealer, the
Yeah.
people around them, went to jail for it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I know that at one point in my life, when I was a young teen runaway, I tried heroin, and the whole milieu of it was so sleazy and tawdry. And
You're not gonna vote for legal heroin?
no, I'm not.
No.
And I was like, well, I don't want to end up there.
Yeah.
Right. So I know I've talked to people who, my brother ended up on heroin because he tried marijuana
Well,
or something like that. So,
your brother was probably gonna do heroin.
yeah.
No matter what.
I had I was
What do you think about those legal places that do like the safe injection places and the legal heroin locations?
Well, I mean, the idea of people not doing harmful things to their bodies is great.
Right.
Of course, that sounds great. Are we there? Not in any way. So what we need is a solution from the problems that we're in right now, is at least what they call harm reduction.
Yeah.
How do you make the problem cause less damage? And
Give them clean needles.
give them clean needles,
place
have
to
injection
dose.
sites, reduce marijuana law, or reduce
heroin.
substance of abuse
Yeah.
laws.
You've been saying marijuana laws for
Well, I
so
started
long.
to say drug laws. I was trying to
But,
avoid that.
yeah.
But reduce the laws against substances of abuse to where it becomes a medical problem and
No.
not a legal problem, because we have, to quote Jack Wilburn, we have doctors who can deal with the people and getting them off of drugs. But once they've been to jail, they're ruined.
Now, from your experience point of view, when they do that, when they decriminalize it like they did in California, and it becomes a medical problem, there's nobody to treat them with the medical issues that they have now. There's a bunch of drug addict, mental patients walking around California streets right now. And
Well, I'm going to give you that. You have a good point. Just because they can treat them doesn't mean that they're going to.
right.
Right. And if we look at the history of mental health in America, in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan closed up the funding for hundreds or maybe thousands of mental hospitals around the country. That's when we started seeing.
They're on the street.
That's when we started seeing the homeless crisis, because it was always homeless people, but then you have a bunch of homeless mental ill people also.
Right.
And it wasn't just those guys. I mean, eventually the folks who were nuts in the 1980s, by and large, died off, because it's hard to live when you're insane.
You're used to being taken care of.
Right. And so we have new generations. Our populations increase. So even if we had like the same percentage of people who were mentally ill,
The
number increases.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I worked in the homeless shelter industry as program coordinator for about 4 years. About number one cause, I'm trying to remember, I think it was somewhere between 50 and 60% of the people we had were there for some mental illness issue or had been diagnosed with a mental illness issue. Number two was drugs and alcohol. And number three was assholery.
Yeah. Evicted because they don't pay the rent. Yeah.
Dude, you've used up all your friends. You're not coming home.
Yeah, exactly. You're not. Yeah. you're nobody wants you to be around. But
Right.
when you introduce the mentally ill to the streets and you got the street
That is
people,
a form of mental illness, just to say.
Oh, yeah.
But still, fuck you guys very much.
but the mental ill people on the streets now with the drug addicts are like, here, dude, chill the fuck out. I'll shoot you up. Now they're on it. Now they're mentally ill and on drugs.
Right.
And there's just a whole new skew of problems.
One morning at MJ BizCon, I had breakfast with a Lakota Sioux named Lanny LaPlante.
Okay.
He does cannabis counseling, and he lives up in South Dakota, and he's trying to get laws changed in Indian territory. And he said this, which I thought was so wise, because we were talking about this very question of what's the gateway.
Right.
He said the gateway is trauma.
Yeah.
That sometime in your life you had something that was awful, and then you took something to console yourself, and from now on you believe that that's what's going to happen, and I need to try the new thing, new thing.
Which is what we're talking
Hats
about.
to Lanny there, yeah.
In the poor, urban areas, and you can't get away from it. There it is.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Chris Rock has a joke going on right now. He says he can understand why so many states are legalizing marijuana. They're just like the people in his neighborhood. When they're broke and desperate, they sell drugs.
Sell drugs, yeah. That's the answer. Got to get some quick cash, sell drugs. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the idea that we should have had this kind of a thing dictated and autocratically controlled, it was a farce from the beginning.
Sure.
What people consume or choose to not consume is really should be their own issue.
Right.
And
Treat the
they're
mental
still
health
going to live
issue.
and die,
So do you think we should treat mental health again? Bring that back?
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah.
For, the viewers back home or for the readers of the Illinois Times, you can find that my wife, my late wife, was a mental illness patient from the time she was 16 until her suicide at 45. And during our time together, I got to witness the decline in mental health services in America, thanks to the transition of the 80s and the Reagan administration. In the 70s and the early 80s, when she was originally going to state mental facilities, there was a lot of focus on rehabilitation, occupational therapy, and then later in 1993, there was tremendous cutback on staff, and so services, and so an increase in dependence on medication, because if you're not going to treat them, you better at least have them lobotomized so they're not fucking with you.
Right.
So unfortunately, that year, our state Department of Mental Health decided to do another budget cut, and they moved everybody into different wards, not based on your diagnosis, but based on your location of origin, your county of origin. So your social worker could have an easier time, like go to one ward and see
all the cases in one spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, that meant that in my wife's case, a sexual predator was put on her ward instead of on the violent criminal ward, and she was raped.
Holy shit. Trying to get help.
Right.
In a state facility.
Yeah.
And because of budget cuts.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. So, and we haven't really seen a change of direction from those days. The mantra, unfortunately, this is, again, I don't want to spend so much time in general politics, but the mantra over the last 30, 40 years has been by Republicans, all government is awful and wasteful, and we need to cut the budgets.
That's not the case.
It sounds good,
right?
But the stuff that wasn't that was already underfunded, you don't need to cut their budget.
Well, just look at sanitation for one. Just start there.
Yeah.
You can't start cutting anything. You need to start looking at the issues and seeing where the money's going and who's using the money for what.
Right. Look at the difference between getting your water from the Lake Michigan or the Flint River.
Right.
They save money, but here we are today.
Right. So definitely,
Yeah.
what are they doing with the cash? And are they doing it smart?
So yeah, I guess my point in that is it's ubiquitous. It shows up in all these different problems that instead of solving the problem, we
Create
talk
more.
about it and half-ass solve it, which does indeed create more.
Well,
more
yeah.
issues,
So if you have a guy that's worth $100,000 a year, and you cut the budget to $50,000 a year, you hire a guy that's now worth $50,000 a year. He's not going to do the same job.
No.
He's not going to have the same information. He's not going to have the same education or the same skills, and he's going to have the same job to do.
And he won't even have the same motivation to accomplish
No,
it because
he's
it's
getting
only
paid
half as much.
and he probably knows the other guy got paid twice as much as him.
Well, that could be.
Yeah. So there's that too. So yeah.
Well, yeah.
you're
And
creating more problems by cutting budgets, I think.
so that has been across the board. So of course it's a problem that we're seeing in mental health treatment. And now that we've had 30, 40 years of this kind of mindset, it's another generation of people who
Right.
haven't ever known. Maybe we shouldn't cut stuff.
Right. Never knew that there was help at one point. Never knew that these people weren't on the streets, having
Right.
to deal with it. Yeah.
If you talk to hardcore libertarians, I mean, the ones who don't believe there should be a society, just individuals, they will tell you that taxation is theft,
Right.
that the government should have none of our money, which of course means that the government can do no things.
Right.
I've even heard
Quit.
libertarians say that the government has no right to build roads.
Okay.
And it's actually in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 7, that they're instructed to build roads.
Right.
But taxation is theft, and it costs money to build roads, so,
Right.
none. So that's the model that some fiscal conservatives are looking at. They're starting there.
Uh-huh.
There's a famous Grover Norquist who was the architect of the GOP tax cut strategy over the last 30, 40 years. And he said, I don't want to eliminate the federal government. I just want it to get small enough to where I can drown it in a bathtub.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That opens us up for so many issues because maybe if we eliminated everybody else's government too at the same time,
Right,
that would be a possibility. But at the same getting rid of all governments would be ideal more than one government.
well, human beings are a
They're
conglomeration.
Followers.
Well, that's true. but human beings themselves are a conglomeration of trillions
Mhm.
of independent cells
Right.
to figure out how to work together to accomplish stuff. We see that genetically there's proof that ideas of community and cooperation are part of the ways that humans have survived all the ordeals
yeah.
that we've had.
That's why solitary confinement's a punishment.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Wow, powerful thought. So, I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can end it on that note right there on the hour and a half mark. Mikel Weisser, I appreciate you stopping in and talking today with us, brother.
Oh, it has been so good. I know that I was here just last week.
A couple days ago, you are our show, my friend.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll come back in after the holidays, and I'll bring you guys all sorts of exciting news stories of
Some more
traveling
dates.
the state of Arizona.
Awesome, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming in. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and viewing and sharing. And keep it up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Click that like button. Let us know we did a good fucking job.
Try the
Subscribe
earplug
to
thing when
us.
you're driving. You'll be amazed.
Share this video afterwards. Try some earplugs. Shut the world out and listen to your own thoughts. Fuck the rest. Listen to yourself. Everybody, signing off.
Love you guys.
Toking today. Goodbye.